الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما ثم أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
First of all, Jazakumullahu khairan, all of you. First, we have to be thankful and grateful to the board, the trustees of Manteca Islamic Center, for Shaykh Mohammed, and for you to come in and support. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man la yashkur al-nas, la yashkur." Whosoever is not grateful to people, he will never be grateful to Allah. So, Jazakumullah khairan for everything. As you heard, alhamdulillah, in the lectures, the month of Ramadan, the blessed month, is just around the corner. So we should prepare ourselves to receive this month with sincerity in our fasting and our nightly paradise from Allah. Allahumma ameen.
Ameen.
الله عز وجل يقول يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Allah the Almighty, more or less in the ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 183. O you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may achieve taqwa. Ahlul ilm يقولون لام الإعدادية. This lam here is the lam that we called it to prepare. To prepare yourself for what thing? For a taqwa. So you should finish the month by a new certification. It's not in Oxford University. It's not in another university that you know here in Davis or other places. It is a certificate given by Allah the Almighty, having taqwa Allah. So this is my need and your need to be among al-muttaqeen. Of course, alhamdulillah, all of you knows that Ramadan is one of the pillars of Islam. So we'll not just waste our time in mentioning the evidence, the proof regarding this thing. So let us start, inshallah ta'ala, speaking about some of these rulings of Ramadan and some etiquettes, inshallah ta'ala. أخرج أبو داود وصحح الحديث ابن حبان والحاكم عليهم جميعا رحمة الله تعالى من حديث عبد الله بن عمر قال تراءى الناس الهلال فأخبرت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أني رأيته فصام وأمر الناس بصيامه. Every year we have a dispute and discussion regarding Ramadan. Is it a global site or it's a global fight? People use this discussion and dispute every year. Should we take the global site if one Muslim country sees the hilal enough for us to fast, or every community should observe fasting? If you go to the majority of the scholars, you will see that if you share part of the time, part of the night with any country that sees the hilal, it's enough for you to declare fasting with that country. In the past, they used to practice local moon sighting. And the reason was so simple. Do you know the reason why? Anybody knows the reason why? They have to use local moon sighting because no internet, no Gmail, no text message. I saw the hilal. No TVs, no satellites. Now you see an incident happened in China live, right? So now the world become like a small village. You can know every detail that happened in this world in the same moment. So in the past, yes, it is still an opinion among the scholars, like Imam Shafi'i, alayhi rahmatullah, is still saying that local moon sighting is required. But subhanallah, if the ibadat were established to unite the ummah, and every year we have the same problem. You see sometimes in one of the cities, 10 years ago, they fasted in 3 different days. Some of them they start Thursday, some they start Friday, and some they started Saturday. Now tell me, those who start Saturday, how will they have the Eid even with those who start Friday? There is no way. There is no way. So the ibadah should unite the ummah, should not make a big difference between the ummah. So if we can establish a global moon sighting that united the whole ummah in one day of fasting and one day that we break, it will be the best thing that we can do, to fast in the same day and to break in the same day. This is show how the ummah is strong, how the ummah is united, and how the ummah is working for its affair. Of course, there is a second way to know if Ramadan comes or not, which is Sha'ban. If we do not see the moon, if we do not see the crescent moon, so we have to complete Sha'ban as a 30 days, right? As everybody knows. But if somebody sees the hilal, so inshallah it will be enough again to try to make what we call a global moon sighting. أركان الصيام. لا يخفى عليكم أن للصيام ركنان اثنان. الركن الأول النية. النية من الليل. أخرج الترمذي والنسائي وأبو داود وابن ماجه عن حفصة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: لا صيام لمن لم يجمع الصيام قبل الفجر. وصحح الحديث ابن خزيمة وابن حبان والحاكم عليهم جميعا رحمة الله. So the pillar of fasting, we have just 2 pillars. The first one is an-niyyah, intention. And this intention, we should observe it in the night. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as I said first before the hadith, you must have the intention to fast before Fajr or down. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as Imam Tirmidhi and Abu Dawood, Nasai, Ibn Majah and others, narrated from the hadith of Hafsa that our beloved Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, he who does not have the intention to fast before it is Fajr, then there is no fast for him. And the second, of course, the intention, there is no need to utter it by the tongue, right? The intention, the place of the intention, مكان النية أي أقل. إذن لا داعي لذكر النية في أي عبادة من العباد. There is no need to mention the niyyah in any act of worship. أحيانا تصلي جنب بعض الناس وأنت الفاتح الإمام يقول آمين وهو ما زال يقول أصلي لله العظيم بطاعة ربي الكريم 4 ركعات فرض عشاء خلف الإمام أبو سليمان في مسجد ساكرامنتو zip code 9580, you know, subhanallah. And the Imam is finishing the Fatiha and he's still, well, I want to pray for Allah, obligatory prayer of Isha in Masjid al-Nur or Manteca Islamic Center behind Shaykh Mohammed, the zip code of the Manteca, such and such, subhanallah. And then I'm saying, وَلَا and he's still, you know, uttering the niyyah by the tongue. The tongue is not a place for the niyyah. The place of the niyyah is the heart. So when the Imam say Allahu Akbar, you say Allahu Akbar. That's the whole story. So this is the first pillar in fasting. The second, الإمساك عن الطعام والشراب والجماع في نهار رمضان. الله عز وجل يقول: أحل لكم ليلة الصيام الرفث إلى نسائكم، إلى أن قال: وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل. The second pillar is abstaining from acts that nullify the fast, like eating, drinking, or having sexual intercourse with your wife. Of course, we are talking eating and drinking intentionally. It's not based on forgetfulness. It's something different, as we will see later on. Allah the Almighty in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 187 says more or less, it is made lawful for you to have sexual relation with your wives on the night of the fast, till he said, and eat and drink until the white thread light of down appears to you distinct from the black thread darkness of the night. أمور تبطل الصيام. عندنا مجموعة من القضايا تبطل الصيام. We have some actions that invalidate the fast. الأمر الأول الأكل والشرب متعمدا, eating or drinking intentionally. Intentionally. If somebody does that intentionally, so he will invalidate his fasting. أخرج الإمام البخاري ومسلم عليهما رحمة الله والحديث عند ابن ماجه من حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال: قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: من أكل ناسيا وهو صائم فليتم صومه فإنما أطعمه الله وسقاه. Our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as I said, the first thing that invalidates fast, it is intentional eating or drinking. So if someone eats or drinks due to forgetfulness, so in this case, or a mistake, or was forced or compelled to do that, still his sawm is valid. Is that clear? Why we said this? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as Imam Bukhari and Muslim narrated from the hadith of Abi Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that our beloved Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if any of you eats and drinks out of forgetfulness, then let him complete his fast, for it was indeed Allah the Almighty who gave him food and drink. So the first point is clear, right? Which invalidates sawm. What's the first point?
Intention.
Eating or drinking intentionally. The second thing, القيء متعمدا كما أخرج أحمد وأبو داود والترمذي وقوى الحديث الدارقطني عليهم جميعا رحمة الله من حديث أبي هريرة قال صلى الله عليه وسلم: من ذرعه القيء فلا قضاء عليه ومن استقاء فعليه القضاء. The second thing that invalidates fast is intentional vomiting. Intentional one. If one is overcome, if any person is overcome by the urge to vomit and vomits unintentionally, then he should continue to fast. If somebody chooses to vomit for any reason, then his fast will become invalid. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in the hadith narrated by Abu Dawud wa Tirmidhi wa Ibn Majah, and it's coming from Abu Hurairah, he said, whoever is overwhelmed by vomiting, then no atonement is required of him. Then he does not break and should not break, he should not make up that day. But whoever vomits intentionally, then let him atone for it. So what's the second point now that invalidates fasting? Intentionally vomit. You have to look up, right? Because you eat now, I know. And now, we are more busy and lazy. I want to sleep. This is why I'm asking. It's not my habit, but this is why I'm asking. الأمر الثالث الجماع في نهار رمضان. أخرج أبو داود والترمذي والحديث عند البخاري في الصحيح من حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال: جاء رجل إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال: هلكت، وفي رواية احترقت. فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم: وما ذاك؟ فقال: وقعت على أهلي في رمضان، أو وقعت في رواية بأهلي في رمضان. فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم: أتجد رقبة؟ يعني هل تستطيع أن تحرر رقبة؟ فقال: لا. قال: فهل تستطيع أن تصوم شهرين متتابعين؟ قال: لا. وفي رواية: وهل أوقعني فيما أوقعني إلا الصيام؟ هو رمضان مش محتمل رجل. فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم: أو تستطيع أن تطعم 60 مسكينا؟ فقال: لا. قال: فجاء رجل من الأنصار بعرق، والعرق هو المكتل، يعني وعاء فيه تمر. فقال: اذهب، النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول للرجل: اذهب بهذا فتصدق به. فقال الرجل: يا رسول الله، على أحوج منا، يعني هل هناك من هو أفقر منا؟ والله في رواية: والذي بعثك بالحق ما بين لابتيها، أي جبليها، أهل بيت أحوج منا. قال: فضحك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في رواية حتى بدت نواجذه وقال: تصدق به، خذه وأطعمه أهلك. صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم. The third point, intentional sexual intercourse. If one has sexual intercourse, then he must perform kaffara, which is expiation. And of course, the expiation, it is fasting continuously 60 days. Listen this careful. Fasting continuously for 60 days. And if he is not unable to do that, and he is not the one who will judge himself if he is able or not. If you are healthy, if you are okay, you have to fast. But if the doctor says that he cannot fast, then he will move to feed a 60 needy in this case. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as Imam Bukhari and Abu Dawud wa Tirmidhi narrated from Abi Hurairah, that a man came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said: "O Messenger of Allah, I am destroyed." In another narration, I am burned already. So the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, "What's that?" He said, "I had sexual intercourse with my wife during Ramadan." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Are you able to free a slave?" The man said, "No." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, "Are you able to fast 2 months continuously?" The man said, "No." Prophet ﷺ asked, "Are you able to fast 2 months continuously? To feed 60 needy?" The man said, "No." Then the Prophet ﷺ remained silent for a while. A man from Al-Ansar, he came and he brought a large basket of palm leaves containing dates, was brought to the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ said to that man, "Take this and give it in charity." So the man responded and said, "There is no one between the two sides of Al-Madinah poorer than us, than me and my family." So the Prophet ﷺ smiled until his molars became visible and said, "Take it and feed it to your family." Sallallahu ta'ala ala nabiyyina Muhammad. So, يترتب على جماع الرجل زوجته في نهار رمضان أمور عدة. الأول الإثم. If somebody had a relation, sexual intercourse with his wife during the day of Ramadan, first he should know that he is a sinner. This is number one. Because the man said, "Halakt, I have been destroyed when he committed this, and I have been burned." The second thing, kaffara, expiation. At the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, he was there and he said to the man, "Well, take this and feed your family," but no profit anymore in this ummah. So ulama said that the kaffara should be by order. You have to free a slave. There is no slave nowadays, so you have to move to fasting. If you can't fast, it is 60 days continuously unless the Eid was among these days, you have to stop, then you have to continue. If you got sick in these days, you can break, you can take care of yourself, then continue. But if you fast 50 days, then you just want to break, ulama said you have to repeat the 60 days from zero. So you have to be aware of this. And if the third thing, that if he cannot fast, he should feed 60 persons. والأمر الرابع عليك الإمساك بقية اليوم مع القضاء. You have to abstain fasting that day, and you have to make that day up after Ramadan. So let us just be careful of this. الأمر الرابع الحيض والنفاس. أخرج البخاري ومسلم من حديث معاذ رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت سألت عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها فقلت ما بال الحائض تقضي الصوم ولا تقضي الصلاة؟ فقالت عائشة أحرورية أنت؟ يعني حرورية فرقة من الخوارج. أحرورية أنت؟ قالت لا لست بحرورية ولكني أسأل. قالت كان يصيبنا ذلك فيأمرنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بقضاء الصوم ولا نؤمر بقضاء الصلاة. The fourth point that invalidate fast is menstruation or childbirth bleeding. These two things invalidate the fast. Even if menstruation happened 10 minutes before sunset, the woman should break, obeying Allah Azza wa Jal, and she will be rewarded inshallah for that. Some sisters, well, it's just 30 minutes or 1 hour. I don't want to lose my day. And she keeps fasting, having that menstruation, which is a sin. So we should be aware, and the sister should be aware, by that. Imam Bukhari and Muslim narrated from the hadith of Aisha that Mu'adha came to her and asked her and said, menstruation use. Aisha couldn't answer it because the woman asked why the menstruating woman should make a fast but not salah. So Aisha replied, radiyallahu ta'ala anha, said menstruation used to happen to us, women, when the Prophet was alive, and so we were ordered by the Prophet to make up the missed fasts, but we were never ordered to make up the missed prayers. ما يباح للصائم في رمضان. So we have 4 things, right? That invalidate fasting, right? Do you remember the 4 things? تذكرون? You're sure you remember these 4 things? Move forward. طيب, okay, I will believe that. طيب, ما يباح للصائم أثناء صومه في رمضان. Actions that are permissible during Ramadan. الاغتسال, taking shower. أخرج الإمام أحمد وأبو داود من حديث أبي بكر بن عبد الرحمن عن بعض أصحابه قال لقد رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بالعرج يصب على رأسه الماء وهو صائم من العطش أو الحر. So the first thing permissible during the day of Ramadan, during fasting, is washing your head or taking shower. The hadith that we have, hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that was narrated by Abu Dawood and Ahmad, from hadith Abi Bakr ibn Abd al-Rahman. May Allah Azza wa Jal have mercy upon him. He said that I saw the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam soak a garment. This is Ibn Umar. He used to use a garment, putting over his head. He used to put the garment in water, then he covered the head with it because it was too hot in that day. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as this companion and tabi'i narrated from some of his companions, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to wash his head while he was fasting. So it's permissible. It's okay to take a shower to feel a little, cool in this summer. الأمر الثاني المضمضة والاستنشاق إلا المبالغة فيهما من غير مبالغة. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كما أخرج أبو داود والترمذي والنسائي من حديث لقيط بن صبرة عن أبيه قال: قلت يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أخبرني عن الوضوء. قال: أسبغ الوضوء وبالغ في الاستنشاق إلا أن تكون صائما. So the second thing that is permissible, rinsing the mouth and nose. But of course you should not exaggerate, because the water will escape and go, and maybe you like it. MashaAllah, there's nobody seen this. Second, third, alhamdulillah, done. So, rinsing the mouth and nose, it is permissible to rinse the mouth and nose without exaggeration. Using too much water may cause you to swallow water. So you should be aware of this. And one of the companions, his name Laqid ibn Sabra, one of the tabi'in, he asked his father, Sabra. And he said, the father asked our Prophet ﷺ, and he asked him to tell him something about al-wudu. So Rasulullah ﷺ instructed him to make what we call isbagh al-wudu, to do it in a perfect way, in ihsan way. Then he said, and sniff water into your nose strongly unless you are fasting. Unless you are fasting, you cannot do that. الأمر الثالث الكحل أو قطرة العين. أخرج أبو داود من حديث الأعمش قال: ما رأيت أحدا من أصحابنا يكره الكحل للصائم، وكان إبراهيم يرخص أن يكتحل الصائم بالصبر. وأخرج أبو داود من حديث عبيد الله بن أبي بكر ابن أنس عن أنس بن مالك أنه كان يكتحل وهو صائم رضي الله تعالى عنه. So the third action that is permissible, applying eyeliner or drops or what we call kuhl nowadays for the brothers or the sisters. It is permissible to apply kuhl, eyeliner or eye drops or anything else in the eye, to the eye, even if some taste from it finds its way to the throat. Anas, may Allah have mercy and may Allah be pleased with him, he used to say, I do not see any harm in the use of kuhl while fasting. And as his son narrated, that Anas used to have kuhl while he was fasting. The fourth action that it is permissible, أخذ العلاج عن طريق الإبر إلا أن تكون المغذي. الإبر, injection. The fourth action, taking injection. It is permissible to take injections, for antibiotic or to control the pain, even though if you take it IM intramuscular or IV, right? Yeah, يعني انت اشطر مني في هذا الكلام، دكتور هذا دكتور here. So it is okay unless it is what we call المغذي, how you call it? Nutrition. Unless it is nutrition. So nutrition, it is not allowed because it is considered, the ulama consider that as something that will give you the strength to remain fasting without any problem. Also, من الأمور المباحة والمسموح بها التحاميل والحقن الشرجية في رمضان. التحاميل, taking suppositories, is also allowed in Ramadan. There is no harm in that if there is a need of it. Even what we call anama or douche, it is allowed if there is a need. Of course, Muslim doctor will instruct people to sometimes delay, if there is no emergency, the treatment, maybe some kind of treatment after Ramadan to take care of yourself. But if you have the need, it is permissible and no harm on taking such a thing. ومما يتجاوز عنه وهو مسموح ما لا يستطيع العبد التحرز منه. يعني أن تشم رائحة طيبة، غبار، تبلع الريق، هذا لا بأس به ولا يقدح في صيامه. Also, we have what we call accidental consumption. Accidental consumption.
Your fast will not become invalid if consume something that could not protect yourself from. For example, swallowing your saliva. It's so difficult to have control over that. So this will not invalidate your fasting. تذوق الطعام والشراب لمن يصنع طعاما للأخوات في بيوتهن أو لمن يصنع الطعام لا بأس ولا حرج في تذوق الطعام شريطة ألا يبلع، لأنه ممكن يجد الطعام طيب ما شاء الله، يعني واحدة وثنتين ثلاثة يقول لك تذوق طعام. So it is okay tasting food with the tongue. It is permissible. Your fast will be valid even if you taste food with your tongue or use your tooth, even paste, you know, or mouth wash, as long as nothing is swallowed. But don't rely, nobody see me, so let me swallow what I'm tasting. It's just one bite. No. We are talking about just tasting, which is very important. الأمر الآخر أو الثامن يعني شم الطيب, breathing in different scent. It is permissible to smell or breathe in any kind of others or scent, including medical or medicinal inhalers or vapor rubs. You know, some people, they suffer asthma and they have to use the inhaler. It's okay, Shaykh Mahmoud used to give the fatwa that it's okay for the fasting person to use that inhaler for the asthma that he is suffering. This is not considered food or drink indeed. This is a need that the person has, so there is no harm on that. الأمر التاسع المباح تقبيل الزوجة لا بأس به ومباشرة الزوجة لا بأس به لكن and embracing one's spouse if you can control yourself. Otherwise, you know what's the expiation? Do you remember or you forgot? 60 days of fasting. And I bet that you will not do it. So it's permissible, yes, it's permissible kissing. Aisha used to say, as Bukhari and others narrated, كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقبل أزواجه وهو صائم. فقال عروة ومن يا خالة؟ قال فضحك. فعرف أنها هي المقصودة. Aisha used to say that Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم used to kiss his wife while he was fasting. So Urwa asked Aisha, who was that wife? So Aisha started smiling. So he knew that he was the one. So he used to kiss Aisha who? Performing the prayer. So nothing hard in that if you can control yourself. التبرع بالدم والحجامة على الصحيح من أقوال الفقهاء أنه صحيح وجائز ومباح إلا إذا خشيت ضعفا فعندها لا ينبغي فعل ذلك. حديث ابن عباس الذي أخرجه الإمام مالك وغيره، هذا الحديث أذكره أخرجه البخاري عليه رحمة الله. حديث البخاري من حديث ابن عباس أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم احتجم وهو محرم واحتجم وهو صائم. وأخرج مالك في الموطأ من حديث هشام بن عروة عن أبيه أنه كان يحتجم وهو صائم ثم لا يفطر. وقال ما رأيته احتجم قط إلا وهو صائم. وقال مالك لا تكره الحجامة للصائم إلا خشية من أن يضعف. فإذا أمن هذا لا حرج عليه. Drawing blood or cupped, cupping hujama. You know what's hujama? You know hujama? So it's also permissible to draw blood in any amount for any reason unless it will weaken the person. Imam Bukhari narrated from Ibn Abbas. He said the Prophet ﷺ was cupped, in which his blood was drawn, while fasting. While fasting. Imam Malik in Al-Muwatta, he narrated a hadith from Hisham ibn Urwa from his father that he used to make hujama while he was fasting. Imam Malik has no problem with making hujama during fasting unless it leads to weakness. And the hadith that we have, which is an authentic hadith, حديث ابن ماجه وابن حبان وابن خزيمة من حديث أبي هريرة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أفطر الحاجم والمحجوم. حديث صحيح، لكن ذكر الحافظ ابن حجر في الفتح أن ابن حزم قال حديث صحيح لكنه منسوخ. So we have another hadith coming from Ibn Majah and Ibn Hibban from Abi Hurairah. The Prophet ﷺ said, the cupper and the one for whom cupping is done, both break their fasting. By the way, this is authentic hadith, but this hadith was abrogated. The first practice was in the past doing this. One of the companions came to the Prophet ﷺ and he cupped, it made hijama, and he was so weak. فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم أفطر الحاجم والمحجوم. Then, as we hear Imam Bukhari mention that Rasulullah ﷺ used to cup while he was fasting. Ibn Hazm said, these last hadith abrogated the first hadith that the one who makes the hijama and the one to whom the hijama is making breakfast, it is mansukh, abrogated. So the condition is, if you are not afraid to be weak or from weakness, there is no harm on you to make hijama or to draw blood in any time. الأمر الحادي عشر المسموح به الاستيقاظ في حالة الجنابة. يستطيع، وهذا ما روته عائشة وأم سلمة في حديث الشيخين البخاري ومسلم عليهما رحمة الله، قالتا كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصبح جنبا من غير احتلام أو حلم ثم يصوم. There is no harm being in a state of janaba after Fajr. If you wake up after Fajr and you do not have a break to take a shower before Fajr, it's okay to start your fasting, to continue the day, taking the shower, praying Fajr, and continue your fasting. There is no harm. Imam Bukhari and Muslim narrated from Aisha and Salama, the wives of the Prophet. May Allah Azza wa Jalla be pleased of all of the wives of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They said sometimes the Prophet ﷺ was in a state of janaba from his wives and Fajr came up upon him, then he would bath and fast. Is that clear, inshallah? معلوم على من يجب الصيام فلن أتحدث فيه. We know صيام is obligatory for whom? Do you know for whom? Who is obligated to fast? Muslim, بالغ, عاقل, مقيم, وخالي من العذر. So you know that Siyam is obligation upon Muslim. If non-Muslim fast, maybe Allah Azza wa Jal, when they do righteous good deed, give them in the dunya. Give them something in the dunya, in a replacement. But the key of acceptance of the action is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So he should be a Muslim, he should reach the age of maturity, this has become obligatory upon him to fast, should be sane, and healthy, resident, and free from excuses. Like the woman, maybe is resident and healthy and everything, but she has menstruation or something. So in this case, it does not become obligatory upon her. من يستثنى من الصيام. Exclusions from fasting. يستثنى من الصيام الكبير العاجز. The elder, the old person who reach an age that he cannot fast with it. It's become so difficult for him to fast. So what he should do? Feed a needy for every day, right? So 30 days feeding 30 needy person, and he will be covered. Also, the one who is sick, he is excused for the number of days to get cured, then after that making up that day that he missed. Unless there is a diabetes person who is diabetes, they may be insulin and injection. So if he tries to fast, maybe he will harm himself more and more. So there is a license for him from Allah Azza wa Jalla. So don't make it difficult for yourself. Because I know some brothers taking the injections and fast. There is no harm in you, because Allah Azza wa Jalla said, فَمَنْ كَانَ مريضا منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخرى فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخرى. But if any of you is ill or on a journey, the same number should be made up from other days. That's what Allah the Almighty said in Surah Al-Baqarah. Now the traveler, he has the choice. He has the choice. If he think fasting, nowadays it's so comfortable, sometimes traveling. So if he think fasting and traveling is easier for him, he can go for it. But if somebody, two brothers or three or member of family, they are traveling, someone decide to break and the other decide to fast, nobody should harm nobody. Because Anas used to say, كنا مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في السفر ومنا الصائم ومنا المفطر. Anas used to say that we used to travel with Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. Among us people who used to observe fasting and some they used to break the fast. فلا يحمل الصائم على المفطر ولا يحمل المفطر على الصائم. So the fasting person will not blame the one who breaks, and the one who breaks will not blame the one who is fasting. So if fasting and traveling is easier, do it. If you want to take the license, إن الله يحب أن تؤتى رخصه كما تؤتى عزائمه. Also, the pregnant, الحامل والمرضع لقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في الحديث الصحيح إن الله تعالى وضع عن المسافر الصوم وشطر الصلاة وعن الحامل أو المرضع الصوم أو الصيام. So the pregnant woman, the nursing woman, it's allowed if they are afraid for themselves or their babies to break fasting. There is no harm in that. Because the Prophet ﷺ in the authentic hadith, he mentioned that Allah the Almighty allowed the traveler to break the fasting and allowed him to make qasr to the salah, to break just half of the salah. Qasr, it's a license. And for the pregnant woman or nursing woman to break fasting if they are afraid for themselves or the babies. Now the ulama differed a lot. Should they just pay fidya, ransom, or they should fast? The majority of the ulama say that they should fast. The majority of the ulama say they should fast. Ibn Umar wa Ibn Abbas, especially Ibn Abbas, used to say كان يقول ابن عباس لأزواجه إذا كانت الزوجة حاملا أو مرضعا أخرج الفدية ولا قضاء عليك. وكان يتأول قول الله عز وجل وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية. قال الشيخ ابن عثيمين رحمه الله تعالى هذا يدل على غور علم ابن عباس لكنه لا يستطيع أن يقيس هذا على هذا. هكذا كان يقول الشيخ ابن عثيمين رحمه الله تعالى. So Ibn Abbas, when he has a pregnant wife or a wife that is nursing, he used to say to her, break your fasting and just pay a ransom. But the majority of the scholars, again, they said that the woman, when she break the fasting for nursing or pregnancy, she should make up the number of days that she missed. This is the majority opinion of the ulama. أفعال المستحبة في رمضان, some recommended action during Ramadan. السحور تسحروا فإن في السحور إيش؟ بركة. طيب أنا ما أحب الطعام يا شيخ، ما أكل تمرة ما لا يضر، تسحر حتى تكسب هذا الأجر. So the first action that it is recommended in Ramadan, having suhoor. Even though a glass of water or one date to achieve the blessing and the barakah of the suhoor. So if you do not have the habit to eat during the night or before Fajr, just take something light thing to inshallah ta'ala to do this recommended action. And also suhoor should be delayed to the last time. مستحب تأخير السحور. It's recommended to delay a suhoor to the last time or moment. Some habits in our country, the first adhan before Fajr, some people they used to abstain when they heard adhan, and they called it adhan al-imsak, which is not from the Sunnah. From the Sunnah, delay, even if we are not sure that the adhan is calling in the proper time, and still we do not see the real Fajr, it's also permissible to keep eating. But because in general we have schedules, alhamdulillah, يعني it depends, mashallah, scientific and some ulama, mashallah. So adhan al-Fajr is your last time. If you take something in your mouth and he said Allahu Akbar, eat it. Don't take it out. But don't eat after that, okay? Say mashallah, and finish. No. If you have something, if you have it like this, no, don't put it in your mouth. But if it is there, eat it. And then you can abstain after that. No harm inshallah ta'ala on you. الأمر الآخر المستحب التعجيل في الإفطار. تعجيل الإفطار. The second recommended action is hurry to break the fast at sunset. Some people, yeah, Shaykh, just a minute, let us wait 5 minutes more. No, 7 minutes more. Some groups, you know them, they make it maybe 40 minutes after sunset, which is not مسنون. نحن معاشر الأنبياء كما أخرج مسلم في صحيحه نحن معاشر الأنبياء نؤخر سحورنا ونعجل فطورنا ونضع أيماننا على شمائلنا في الصلاة. Prophet ﷺ said, as Imam Muslim narrated, that we the prophets used to delay our suhoor, break so fast our fasting, and putting the right hand over the left in the salah. Imam Abu Dawood added on the chest. On the chest. This is riwayat Abi Dawood رحمه الله تعالى. الأمر الثالث من الأمور المستحبة. Another recommended act is that we break fasting by eating an odd number, if it is permissible and okay, or fresh dry dates. If it's رطب, it's much better. And يعني نفطر على رطب إن توفرت وإلا على تمر وإلا على ماء. So if we have fresh dates, this is the best thing that we can use to break our fast. If there is no fresh dates, so dry one. If we do not have both of them, a glass of water. Start with water, because it is purification. It is purification. طبعا عندنا حديث رواه أبو داود والترمذي أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم used to break the fast with the fresh dates before praying Maghrib. If not with the fresh dates, then with the dry dates. And if not with dates, then with a mouthful of water. Also, الدعاء مستحب عند الإفطار. كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كما أخرج أبو داود من حديث ابن عمر يقول إذا أفطر قال ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم used to say a supplication that the thirst has gone, the veins are moistened, and Allah willing, the reward is confirmed. So it is masnoon to make this dua after eating something. من الأمور المستحبة صلاة التراويح بعد العشاء. From the recommended action, تراويح prayers. هل التراويح صلاها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أم لم يصليها؟ صلى ولا ما صلى؟ Did the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم pray تراويح with his companion or he did not?
Did not.
نعم صلى 3 وفي رواية 4 كما سنسمع الآن 4 ليالي. كما أخرج ذلك البخاري عليه رحمة الله من حديث عائشة أخبرت أنه